Your estranged parent comes to you somehow and they want you to go to therapy with them. What do? I'm addressing this topic specifically because of this comment. Let's get into it, shall we? Videos like yours are very helpful. The validation that emotional abuse I suffered is violence is so affirming. I know the self-doubt created from the abuse permeates my abilities to make decisions as a parent. It's been a very frustrating experience that when I distanced myself from the abuse, the family called me an abuser for keeping my daughter from them. Luckily, I have a supportive spouse. This is probably off topic, but now my mother is saying she wants to go to therapy with me. I'm apprehensive at this point. I have a child with chronic medical conditions, and all of this self-doubt has made decisions next to impossible. My spouse doesn't have toxic parents, so as much as he supports me, it's difficult to figure out if the therapy offer is a genuine attempt at fixing things or just another attempt to get my daughter so that they can weaponize the situation, continue to abuse me, call me a bad parent, etc. My mother-in-law is supportive too, but I spend a lot of time questioning myself. Unfortunately, the only way to know if your mother is genuine about fixing things, about repairing your relationship, is to accept her invitation. However, that doesn't mean you have to accept it in total blindness. You can set the rules. And actually, if your estranged parent doesn't allow you to do that, well, then you know that they're not genuinely looking to repair the relationship. They're not looking out for your safety, but rather their comfort and safety. How do you do that? For starters, if you decide that you're going to go to their therapist, you ask to meet with that therapist one-on-one, alone, prior to the therapy with them. If they say no, red flag, because that means that they're afraid that you're going to disclose something that they haven't disclosed, and they're running and they're hiding in the dark and they're playing the same games all over again. So if they're trying to keep you at a distance from the therapist that maybe they're already going to, or if they try to tell you the therapist doesn't want to do that, BS. I'm trying not to, I don't have my swear jar on the road with me here in Marbella. If they're not accommodating you, if your mother isn't showing you prior to going to therapy that she's interested in creating comfort for you, then nothing has changed. And as I am a therapist, I don't know a therapist out there who would refuse to meet with the child of somebody, or any other person for that matter, one-on-one prior to a session together. And in fact, I would always and will not otherwise have a session with two people without meeting them individually, unless they've booked together right from the beginning. And even in those circumstances, I end up seeing them separately and together. I do have clients in my practice who are estranged from their families, adult survivors of narcissistic family systems, who passed down trauma, who then ended up estranged from their adult children, who have brought their adult children into therapy. And I won't meet with them together until I've gotten to know their adult child and what their needs are and how to best serve their needs in that session together. That's my focus. And the person who's my original client, the parent, knows that. They know exactly how it's going to roll out, how I'm going to go about caring for their adult child, and all of that. So if your mother is not willing to accommodate your needs for emotional safety in the way that you go about therapy, I wouldn't go. Plain as that. Why would you want to go into a situation where you're already being shown that your feelings don't matter? And just as a side note, if your parent does operate that way, what they're going to do next is they're going to weaponize your unwillingness to go with the rest of the family members who are now calling you the abuser, which is a classic sign of a culty narcissistic family system where everybody backs the abuser who acts like the victim of the adult child that they're actually abusing and abused throughout their childhood. The fact that your family isn't coming to you and saying, why? What can we do to help you? Is there some way we can facilitate this but meet your needs? They're not, it doesn't sound like they're asking about what you need or caring about what your child needs. And especially in this circumstance where you are mothering a chronically ill child, which I know firsthand how difficult that can be. My eldest daughter was a chronically ill child. She has a rare genetic, well, at that time it was rare. I don't know how rare it is now. I think more people have been diagnosed because there's treatment for it. But she has a genetic illness called Gaucher's disease. And so I had that situation as well. Looking at your other relationships, by the way, it sounds like you might need a little bit of extra support in dealing with those family members as well. And so what I want to say to you in that circumstance is I want to give you a little bit of a line that's going to help you to protect yourself and put a mirror in their face so that they take responsibility, if they can, for what they're saying to you and what they're telling you and trying to bully you into doing. When they tell you you're being abusive, how can you keep that child from your mother and this, that, and the other? I want you to ask them why it is they are so desperate to keep you connected to somebody who is still creating trauma for you. I want you to ask them if they care about your happiness and your well-being. Throw it back on them. Too often they manage to put us on the defensive because we were the bad one in the family, which is bizarre because we were children. And when that reputation forms in our childhoods, it stays throughout the whole rest of our lives. I've been no contact with my mother and that side of the family for over 30 years. And I'm still the bad one. In fact, I'm worse now because I'm speaking out. Go me. If this is what being the bad one looks like, I'll take it. Anyway, I hope that my response has been helpful for you and to other people out there and for all of our community members and anyone else for that matter, but specifically for our community members. If you've had an experience with going to therapy with your estranged parent, please do share your experience, what that looked like, and especially if it worked out. I know that there are a lot of estranged parents out there who are not what my mother is. And I speak about my experience and the experience of a lot of the survivors that I'm connected to. And those survivors also end up in estrangements themselves. I have been an estranged parent. I've been on both sides of the track. The difference is my estrangements were caused due to the fact that I didn't go to therapy. I didn't do the things I needed to do. I was passing down trauma to my children, and then I went to therapy, and my children and I have worked through those issues that we had. My mother is an intentionally cruel and emotionally violent person, physically at times as well, but that's not why I went no contact. So as somebody who's been on both sides of the track, I know that this is a complex situation, and I want to point that out because I also want to make sure that estranged parents who are genuinely looking for a place to heal and to feel like they can talk about what they've been through, even though they are right now estranged themselves, you're welcome in this community. For the estranged parents who make comments like, well, nothing I ever do is good enough, and I wasn't the perfect parent, and you're not taking accountability and you're refusing to do that, well, this is probably not the place for you. I'm talking to the parents who are willing to take accountability. Thank you all for being here, and I will see you soon.